Russia's long-range Su-34 strike fighters are set to become even deadlier, as Putin showcases a newly produced batch with upgraded combat capabilities. Moscow has teased a first look at its latest batch of Su-34 strike fighters, signaling continued efforts to expand Russia's frontline airstrike fleet. The Su-34 can reportedly launch glide bombs and other standoff weapons from hundreds of kilometers away, allowing Russian forces to attack without flying directly over enemy positions. Putin is pushing fighter jet production at full throttle as Zelensky's forces expand their drone warfare campaign across the battlefield. Footage from Russia has provided the first look at a newly completed production batch of Su-34 strike fighters, highlighting continued expansion of the country's frontline combat aviation force. The latest batch of Su-34 aircraft is expected to enter service with Russia's Aerospace Forces in September, adding more strike platforms to the operational fleet. Russia has accelerated deliveries of the Su-34, with production orders rising sharply since the beginning of the Ukraine war. Rostec said in April 2025 that Su-34 production had more than doubled over 2 years, reflecting Moscow's growing demand for frontline strike aircraft. Moscow is rebuilding its strike fleet after Su-34 fighters suffered heavy losses during the early stages of the conflict. Su-34s have become central to Russian airstrike operations, particularly in glide bomb missions conducted against Ukrainian positions. The Russian jets can strike targets from hundreds of kilometers away using improved standoff weapons and guided munitions. New Su-34 upgrades are designed to make Russian airstrikes more accurate, more powerful and more effective against battlefield targets. Defense analysts now describe the Su-34 as the backbone of Russia's frontline airstrike power during the continuing Ukraine war. The expanding Su-34 production program signals Moscow's long-term commitment to heavy strike aircraft and sustained combat operations. Meanwhile, Zelensky's former defense chief has made a major admission, as efforts to restart peace talks continue to remain stalled. Ukraine appears to be gradually, slowly losing the war against Russia, according to ousted Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov. Fedorov says Ukraine has reached a turning point that will determine its future course. While he insists Ukraine can still win, he says the country urgently needs a clear plan to end the war. The former defense minister has criticized what he calls Ukraine's lack of an overall strategy for victory. His remarks mark a sharp departure from Kiev's official rhetoric and deepen pressure on President Volodymyr Zelensky's wartime leadership. Ukraine has a window of only several months to change course, Fedorov warns. He says Kiev must act before Russia adapts to Ukrainian tactics and closes the remaining opportunities for a battlefield turnaround. Fedorov says Ukraine's state apparatus is running at just 5% effectiveness. He blames wasted potential, weak innovation and institutional dysfunction for undermining the war effort. Fedorov's warning comes as Ukraine confronts mounting battlefield and governance pressures. He says new technologies could help stop Russian advances, but argues Kiev lacks the vision and execution needed to deploy them effectively. Ukraine appears to be gradually, slowly losing the war, ousted Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov told Reuters, though he said the country still has a chance to win. Mikhailo Fedorov made the remarks in an interview with Reuters after his removal as defense minister in July, only 6 months after his appointment. Fedorov says Kiev has only several months to take the decisions needed to change the course of the war. The former minister says Ukraine lacks a coherent overall plan to win and urgently needs a strategy to bring the war to an end. Fedorov blamed corruption, patronage networks, and a failure to innovate for weakening Ukraine's war effort. He has previously said attempts to reform defense procurement met resistance from powerful officials. Fedorov says Ukraine's state apparatus is operating at just 5% effectiveness, pointing to widespread inefficiency and untapped capacity. Fedorov has also called for wartime elections, mounting a major internal political challenge to Zelensky. Ukrainian law currently prohibits elections under martial law, and polling has shown limited public appetite for a vote while the fighting continues. Mikhailo Fedorov said, and I quote, "I think that there's now a turning point which will determine our future trajectory, but it looks as though we're gradually, slowly losing. Technologies exist already which could completely stop the Russians, but our absence of vision means we do not apply them. By the end of the year, the budget deficit under our planning was around $5 billion, and we knew where we would get it. Perhaps the plan changed and new projects emerged that require such a budget." Unquote. Ukraine's FP-5 Flamingo missile may not be as invincible as touted by Volodymyr Zelensky, with Russia claiming a fresh interception. A Ukrainian FP-5 Flamingo missile flying over Kursk was allegedly shot down by Russian air defenses, according to Russian reports. The interception allegedly took place during a Ukrainian missile and drone attack on August 23, as Russian forces responded to the incoming strikes. Kursk Governor Alexander Kinstein said the Flamingo missile flew below 50 meters, according to RT, making detection more challenging. The Bars Kursk Mobile Air Defense Unit reportedly detected the missile traveling at around 500 kilometers per hour. Russian volunteers then reportedly opened fire with a machine gun at the Ukrainian missile, attempting to bring down the incoming projectile. The projectile reportedly lost altitude after being hit and crashed into a wooded area, according to an RT report. A video showing the alleged missile interception was released by Bars Kursk soldiers, RT claimed, offering a rare glimpse of the incident. A second part of the footage reportedly shows soldiers examining the wreckage at the crash site after the missile came down. Russian forces claimed they recovered mission data from the missile's wreckage, potentially revealing details about its intended target. Russia further claimed the recovered wreckage showed the Ukrainian missile was aimed at a key facility in Tula, though the allegation remains unverified. Russian officials allegedly said the missile carried a warhead equivalent to 1 ton of explosives, highlighting the claimed destructive potential. Ukraine unveiled the FP-5 Flamingo in 2025 and presented it as a key long-range strike weapon, adding to Kyiv's growing missile arsenal. Ukrainian forces targeted Russian ozone logistics hubs for a third consecutive night on August 23 to 24, extending a campaign against Moscow's major retail supply networks. Russian monitoring channels reported fires at ozone facilities in Adygea and Stavropol during the overnight attacks, although the full extent of the damage remained unclear. A Kuchenland warehouse in Russia's Krasnodar region also caught fire during the drone attacks, adding to the disruption reported across the region. Krasnodar Governor Veniamin Kondrativ said falling drone debris killed 2 children and injured 7 other people during the overnight strikes. Kondrativ said the debris also damaged residential buildings and sparked additional fires at warehouse and logistics facilities. The latest strikes followed several Ukrainian attacks targeting Russian retail and logistics infrastructure in recent days, suggesting Kiev was increasingly focusing on networks supporting Russia's war economy. Meanwhile, Russia struck a Mondelez factory in Ukraine's Sumy region on August 23, with the attack reportedly injuring several people. Ukraine said the facility belonged to a major American company and used the strike to renew calls for stronger Western air defense support. President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukrainian forces had struck a Russian Iskander missile launcher near the border on August 22 as Kiev sought to reduce the threat from ballistic attacks. Zelensky said Ukraine was increasingly targeting Russian missile launchers because its air defense forces were facing a critical shortage of interceptors. He warned that Russia could potentially produce as many as 1,300 ballistic missiles a year, raising concerns about Moscow's ability to sustain large-scale missile barrages. Ukraine has received 264 Patriot interceptors this year, but its Air Force has reportedly requested around 360 missiles to meet the growing threat. Germany has also agreed to provide 600 PAC-2 missiles during 2027 and 2028, as Kiev continues pressing Washington and its allies for additional air defense supplies. Ukraine is meanwhile developing the Freyja air defense system as a longer-term alternative intended to reduce its dependence on expensive Western interceptor systems such as Patriot.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.